So folks, I'm standing on Avalon, the northern end of the Excelsior District, looking out above the Frank residences. Those are obscured behind those, we have some Monterey cypress down there, some Monterey pine, I think, you know, speaking of the conifers, I'm going to risk a post-traumatic reaction in the second semester students here by wrapping this week up. This is our last plan of the week. I'm going to wrap it up with a conifer. We have, I don't know, maybe this is the only conifer we do this semester. I don't know, we might have another one, but anyway, this is Afrocarpus gracilior. It used to be called, and still is called by many people, rightfully, Podocarpus gracilior. It's a very recent name change. So it would be really good. I mean, Afrocarpus will do it on the quiz, but I really would like you guys to learn Podocarpus as you know, a very commonly used genus name for this plant. Okay, so what you see here, this is on the northern northern exposure of this building, and this is a really typical way that we see Podocarpus used in, you know, sort of part shade to even shady locations. Now in the Sunset Western Garden book, it gives full sun part shade for this, but I'm going to urge you to consider this as also really pretty well adapted to shade plantings. It's used often and with pretty good success in shady situations, and this is a full north exposure. I mean, this will get a tiny little bit of sunlight, a little bit of direct sun in midsummer, but that's it. And the rest of the time it's sitting here in the shade. Now this is open shade, granted, but this and I wouldn't, you know, use this in deep shade, but hey, it's a big plant. You know, it gets up above, you know, a lot of the stuff in the garden sometimes, and so you know, this is how it's best used. Okay, so the story on this plant: coniferous evergreen tree. Right, it's often used as kind of a multi-trunk, or you know, something that looks more like a shrub. So if you want to give shrub / tree, that's fine. But know that this native to East Africa, this is like a giant forest tree where it comes from. It's a, you know, it's a huge conifer. It's used for lumber and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So you know, do understand that its nature, this thing is a tree. But when it's propagated from cuttings, it tends to have sort of a less upright, you know, it doesn't go up like a rocket. It tends to be a little more droopy, like you see these branches here kind of drooping down a little bit, and it makes it very well suited to training on a screen as an espalier. I mean, that's the classic I should say Afrocarpus gracilior, right? Trained on a screen, very what I call plastic. It responds very well to pruning. You know, we can get this thing to go where we want, when we want, just by pruning it into that to whatever space we want to fill. Now, just a practical note: when you plant these, they do get big, and you want to, you know, if they're on a frame, you want to make sure that they're far enough away from a wall that they're not going to, you know, start intruding on the foundation. And I always try and keep, you know, like what we see here, we have a branch growing up against the wall. You know, that'll blow around in the wind. It'll make the paint look bad. I always like to maintain a little bit of what I call painter's clearance when we train these. It's best if we can get them to stand eventually on their own. I mean, if we want to purchase them and train them on a frame initially, that's fine. But these are sturdy enough that they can stand on their own without having to rely on a frame for support. We might use it for initial support, but eventually we want to be able to remove that and maintain some distance between this plant and what we grow it against. Now, let me not leave you with the idea that these are always grown against walls or you know, flat the way you see here. You know, this could be a fine freestanding plant. We see them as street trees quite often. Quite nice as a, you know, very sort of elegant looking street tree, very clean. No flowers, you know, to speak of. When these get big, they can form fruits. But we don't often see that in our where we are with our climate and the spaces that where we use these. Let's see. Of course, the light I've talked about already. Full sun to shade, and water. Most references give sort of regular water for this, but I'm gonna tell you that it can get away with a little less, especially here on the coast. Once established, infrequent but thorough water is just fine. And these can be a little greedy. It can be a little hard to garden under them because the roots are pretty, well, a little bit like a willow. It's aggressive and shallow, and they'll be very competitive with anything growing underneath. So I'm going to give you infrequent but thorough, once established, probably best way to describe that. Let's see. I think we've given everything. Oh, the common name, fern pine. Now, these are very widely recognized as Podocarpus, but fern pine would be the more common sounding common name for this. So I hope this didn't traumatize you guys too much. Bringing back the conifers. It doesn't look like a conifer. It has these sort of broad leaves. It's not a broadleaf, but these leaves are broad as conifers go, and it doesn't really make us think conifer. It doesn't have big cones like the pines or some of those others we looked at. It's a kind of an unusual compact structure, the cone that forms on these. So I don't have any of those to show you here, but you'll rarely see them. Okay, that's it for Afrocarpus gracilior.